Well, I wanted to post something for the eve of the Sabbath. So hopefully this will be up before nightfall, and you can do this as maybe a Sabbath reading. Um, I have a lot, like I said, to kind of catch up on. A lot of life changes, um, good things, um, and I actually, you probably don't know where I'm at right now, but I actually am living someplace that is giving me some permanency, and it was a blessing from God. People who know my life understand the power of what God has done when it comes to providing for me. And the provisions isn't because I'm special or, you know, the provisions are wrapped up in service and looking at life and the things that we have as it all belongs to God, all of it. Every red cent, everything that we have is given to us by God, recognizing that, and having a benevolent and charitable heart. The more we give, the more we live. And a lot of people don't understand that concept yet. A lot of Christians don't understand that concept. They go to church on whatever day, their Sabbath or Sunday. They give their tithe. Some people don't even tithe. They think, oh, that 10% was done away with. And they don't even recognize that in the Bible it talks about not just tithing, but it talks about above and beyond our first fruits, our charitable um, not having one hand look at the, see what the other hand is doing. I've met some very, very giving people in my life, and it would probably surprise you who they are and the heart that they have, because a lot of the times it's not the people who are sitting in the church who reflect true benevolence and charity and who really are walking the walk with having that type of heart. But anyway, with that said, I just wanted to say I have what I have because I have actually laid everything at the foot of the cross and recognized after all these years that I don't own anything. It all belongs to God. He can take, He can give. And when you recognize that, when you've been tested on that level, it changes everything. But anyway, this morning I wanted to read, and it's probably going to be evening by the time you get this, but this really struck me. There's been a lot of disappointment in churches lately. I met someone just recently who said that he is so tired of the churches. He hasn't found any church where there's anybody on fire for the Lord. He says they're all lukewarm. Now, I know there are good churches out there, but it's a frustrating time. But we aren't asked to leave the church. We aren't asked to give up on the church. But we are asked as believers, of people who are seeking the light and still growing ourselves, to have that fellowship. Because that's part of us being sharpened by the iron. And when we stay in the church, we'll definitely be sharpened. Our character will come up higher. But if we leave, it doesn't make any sense. We're so disappointed in the church and this church and that church and these people. And, well, yeah, that's part of our Christian walk. So separating ourselves from the church is not the answer. But here's some really good advice. It's from Selected Messages, a book too. And it came under a chapter that was called A Caution Regarding Extreme Positions. So I'm going to read a little bit from it because it reminded me of where I used to work at Black Hills and what's happening there now. The place is just totally falling apart. But it says there were some who had capabilities to help the church, but who needed first to set their own hearts in order. Some had been bringing false tests and had made their own ideas and notions a criterion, magnifying matters of little importance into tests of Christian fellowship, and binding heavy burdens upon others. Now, you may be experiencing this in your church. You may be experiencing this with other Christians, that, they're bringing in their own ideas, they're bringing in their own opinions, and it does place a burden in the church and on the fellowship. Thus, a spirit of criticism, fault-finding, and dissension had come in, which had been a great injury to the church. Does that sound familiar? There are those people, and God forbid, but maybe you are one of them. Maybe you need to look at yourself and ask, am I a fault finder? Am I one that's sitting in the church and criticizing others because I find that maybe they're not living up to the standard, or maybe they're not coming into the light like they should, or maybe they're not walking the walk? Well, okay. We need to stay in our own lane, first of all. And second of all, we need to have a loving, caring spirit. Jesus didn't reject anybody. He didn't tell the woman at the well, oh, well, you've got all these husbands and I can't sit next to you, so I'm just going to fault find. No. It says, and the impression was given to unbelievers that, and this has to do with the Adventists, Sabbath-keeping Adventists were a set of fanatics and extremists, and that their peculiar faith rendered them unkind, uncourteous, and really unchristian in character. So Sister White is writing this about her own church. She's like, you guys you're giving off an impression that you're extreme Christians when you're really not. And this is what happens when we have that spirit comes into any church. Thus, the course of a few extremists prevented the influence of the truth from reaching the people. And you see what happens when in the church this spirit prevails? It really prevents the truth from reaching the people it needs to reach. So it says, some were making the matter of dress the first importance, criticizing articles of dress worn by others and standing ready to condemn everyone who did not exactly meet their idea. Now, I've run into this before. You know how many times I've been criticized for how I dress on the channel by Christians, Christian women. I remember the one time I gave I did a video while I was still in bed over at in Wildwood, and I had my short skirt on, and someone saw my legs, and she decided that she was going to correct me about me being a Christian woman and being in a short skirt and doing the video. Well, you know what? I had just woken up, and okay, so you saw a leg and that bothers you? Well, okay, maybe you need to put your eyes back on Jesus instead of condemning me and how I'm dressing. Reproaching someone, rebuking someone with that wrong spirit does nothing to convict them. And I hope sooner or later some of those women get that. You got to stop looking at people and condemning our sisters for wearing too much makeup, wearing too much jewelry, wearing the wrong clothing. The skirt is too short. We're all on a journey. And you know what? Allow us to walk out our journey, because you know what? I know that my dress goes back and forth. It just, I try to be very modest, but there are some days when I wear a shorter skirt because I'm hot. So I got long legs, and okay, I can't hide my long legs. But you know what? Does it affect my walk? Does it affect me ministering to people? Absolutely not. I still have my encounters. I'm still on fire for the Lord. I still know truth. And so the length of my skirt is not affecting me as a Christian. So, we have to be very careful. Anyway, it says here, a few condemned pictures, urging that they are prohibited by the second commandment and that everything of this kind should be destroyed. You see how people become fanatics? These one-idea men can see nothing except to press the one thing that presents itself to their minds. Years ago, we had to meet this same spirit and work. Men arose claiming to have been sent with a message condemning pictures and urging that every likeness of anything should be destroyed. They went to such lengths as to even condemn clocks which had figures or pictures upon them. This is what Sister White is writing. This is how fanatical people get. Now we read in the Bible of a good conscience, and there are not only good but bad conscience. And there is a consciousness that will carry everything to extremes and make Christian. There is a consciousness that will carry everything to extremes and make Christian duties as burdensome as the Jews made the observance of the Sabbath. The rebuke which Jesus gave to the scribes and Pharisees applies to this class as well. Ye tithe mint and rue and all manner of herbs and pass over judgment and the love of God. One fanatic with his strong spirit and radical ideas who will oppress the conscience of those who want to be right will do great harm. The church needs to be purified from all such influences. There we go. So, we need to change our spirit. We need to come in fellowship with love and understanding and support. We need to stop being so fanatical with our views sometimes. We're living in a time when we really need to be consecrated and to keep our eyes on Christ and be more Christ-like. So anyway, that's my reading for this morning. God bless you guys. Hopefully you'll see a little bit more videos from me. I'm feeling much better after COVID. Maybe I'll do a video on the things that helped me to get through that COVID. I recovered quite quickly, and I have no immune system because of my antibodies aren't being produced the right way. So God was good with all the things that I used to help me heal. All right, God bless you, and keep praying and keep your eyes on the Lord.